I'm Jack Bradley in for Steve Lance tonight. 475 illegal immigrants arrested at a Hyundai facility in Georgia. Homeland Security investigations say it was the largest single-site operation they've ever conducted. South Korea expressing concerns in its reaction to the raid. NTD correspondent Jason Blair has more.
The investigation resulted in the arrest of 475 individuals and is focused on ensuring accountability for those who violate the law and uphold the rule of law.
The largest single-site raid in the history of Homeland Security investigations took place at a Hyundai plant in southern Georgia on Thursday. Special Agent in charge Stephen Schrank confirmed that many of the detainees are from South Korea.
There was a majority of Korean nationals from the 475.
South Korea's foreign ministry spokesperson reacted and said that officials have been in touch with the U.S. Embassy in Seoul.
The economic activities of our companies investing in the United States and the interests of our citizens must not be unduly violated during the course of U.S. law enforcement.
Several other agencies, including the FBI and ICE, were also involved in the operation.
As we had determined through our investigation in advance and certainly experienced yesterday, there was a network of subcontractors and subcontractors for the subcontractors there. So the employees worked for a variety of different companies that were on the site.
Hyundai said in a statement, as of today, it is our understanding that none of those detained is directly employed by Hyundai Motor Company. FBI Atlanta says, quote, "We remain committed to upholding the law and working closely with our partners to ensure accountability and maintain the integrity of our communities." The arrest took place at the Hyundai LG battery plant construction site. The site spans about 3,000 acres in Elabel, Georgia, which is about 20 miles outside of Savannah. Reporting from Washington, D.C., Jason Blair, NTD News.
President Trump with a big announcement on next year's G20 summit. Today, also signing the 200th executive order of his second term. Joining us now live is NTD's Washington correspondent, Mari Otsu. Good evening, Mari. A big announcement from the Trump administration about the Pentagon today. Tell us about that.
Good evening to you too, Jack. Yes, a big name change for the Pentagon today. President Trump is signing an executive order renaming the Department of Defense the Department of War. This is a designation that it held until just after World War II. And this is the president's 200th EO from his second term, and he's signing it on his 220th day in office. Here's what he has to say about it. Watch.
I think it sends a message of victory, really a message of strength. We're very strong. We're much stronger than anyone would really understand. Well, I think I've gotten peace because of the fact that we're strong. If we weren't strong, those 7 deals, a majority of them wouldn't have happened.
This renaming is coming as President Trump seems to be shifting his tone on China. In a Truth Social post early Friday morning, the president is sharing a photo of Russia's President Vladimir Putin, Chinese Communist Party leader Xi Jinping, and Indian Prime Minister Modi with the text, quote, "Looks like we've lost India and Russia to deepest, darkest China." These leaders met Monday at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit, and on Wednesday, Putin, Xi, and North Korea's Kim Jong-un attended Beijing's massive military parade together. President Trump, saying he was watching this parade, accused Xi, Putin, and Kim of conspiring against the U.S. This newly renamed Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, today is explaining how this departmental name change is not just theoretical. He says words matter and that this is about restoring victory. Jack?
And Mari, President Trump also announcing something big about the G20 today. Tell us about that.
Yes, he did. President Trump is announcing that he will be hosting the 2026 G20 summit at his resort in Doral. And he also says that he won't be attending the 2025 G20 summit in South Africa, but that Vice President J.D. Vance will be attending. And on the 2026 Miami summit, the president saying that its agenda will be organized by Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. Here's Bessent on why it's important that the G20 happen in America. Take a listen.
What's important about the G20, President Trump's America First initiative does not mean America alone. It means America leads. So we will be holding the G20 in the capital of the world Miami next year to showcase the beginning of President Trump's second term. Will be a year and a half into it. We will have done peace deals, tax deals, trade deals. We've made the U.S. the best place to come start a business.
The White House is saying that Doral will host the summit at cost and that it will receive no profit from the State Department or any foreign government. The gathering is scheduled for December 14th and 15th, 2026. Jack, back to you.
Definitely one of the nicest times to have the G20 in Florida. Mari, thank you. Now, Trump signs an executive order to rename the Department of Defense to the Department of War as tensions in the Caribbean escalate with a show of force from the Venezuelan regime. Our Washington correspondent Luis Eduardo Martinez has the details.
President Trump has signed an executive order to rebrand the Department of Defense back to its original name, the Department of War. The move is intended to signal the U.S. military's posture and objective of achieving peace through strength.
At your direction, Mr. President, the War Department is going to fight decisively, not endless conflicts. It's going to fight to win, not to lose. We're going to go on offense, not just on defense. Maximum lethality, not tepid legality. Violent effect, not politically correct. We're going to raise up warriors.
The move comes as the U.S. military shut down a drug smuggling vessel on international waters that had set sail from Venezuela.
If you're on a boat full of cocaine or fentanyl or whatever headed to the United States, you're an immediate threat to the United States. And the president, under his authority as commander-in-chief, has a right, under exigent circumstances, to eliminate imminent threats to the United States.
And they were hit. Obviously, they won't be doing it again. And I think a lot of other people won't be doing it again when they watch that tape. They're going to say, let's not do this.
On Thursday, the Pentagon confirmed that the Venezuelan regime's military flew two F-16s in close proximity to the U.S. destroyer USS Dunham in a move that officials called dangerous and provocative.
We are not idiots. We never have been, and we never will be. We are facing extremist forces from the north, Nazi extremists, and humanity must know this. Venezuela is on the front line of the fight for humanity, for the right to peace.
I'm speaking to the imperialist of the north. We're getting ready and we will fight if you dare set foot in Venezuela. We're watching events around the world.
President Maduro, an indicted narco-terrorist, has met with the Chinese ambassador to Venezuela on multiple occasions since the U.S. military buildup in the South Caribbean Sea. And the new floating oil facility from China's Concord Resource Corporation arrived this week in Venezuela. The Russian regime of Vladimir Putin and the Chinese Communist Party have loaned close to $100 billion to the Venezuelan regime in past decades. And the Chinese Communist Party continues to buy Venezuelan oil using Brazilian and Malaysian refineries to bypass sanctions. Reporting from Washington, D.C., Luis Eduardo Martinez, NTD News.
Kiev says Western allies plan to deploy thousands of foreign troops in Ukraine as peacekeepers after the war ends. Russia is already responding with a warning. Meanwhile, the U.S. continues calling on nations to stop aiding Moscow in buying its oil. NTD's international correspondent Arian Pazdar has more.
The trade team and the president are disappointed that India continues to fund Russia's Ukraine war, and hopefully it's a diplomatic issue that will have positive developments soon. The unemployment rates have ticked.
White House economic advisor Kevin Hegseth comments on what he describes as support for Russia's war machine. The United States previously imposed tariffs on India for its continued purchases of Russian oil. But since Europe also continues buying oil from Russia, India has accused the West of hypocrisy. On Thursday, President Trump said Europe should stop the oil purchases which help finance Russia's war effort. The European Union's energy commissioner now says he agrees.
Not only has Putin weaponized energy against us, blackmailed member states, we are actually also indirectly helping finance Putin's war, and that needs to stop.
The European Union is negotiating legal proposals to phase out imports of Russian oil and gas by 2028. The energy commissioner says he welcomes U.S. backing for the plan. Meanwhile, in Ukraine on Friday,
President Trump confirmed America is ready to take part.
President Volodymyr Zelensky provides more details on security guarantees for Ukraine. On Thursday, 26 nations pledged to provide post-war security to Ukraine. This includes an international force on land, on sea, and in the air. But not all 26 nations will deploy troops. Some plan to provide guarantees while remaining outside Ukraine. It's not yet clear exactly what role the US will play in the effort.
In the next few weeks, we'll talk with each country about what exactly they can do.
Russian President Vladimir Putin is criticizing the move, saying the deployment would bring Ukraine even closer to NATO. Putin also has a warning for the troops.
If any troops appear there, especially now while fighting is ongoing, we assume that they will be legitimate targets.
It's not yet clear exactly how many troops will be deployed, but Zelensky says the number will definitely be in the thousands. Arian Pastar, NTD News.
Two 17-year-olds are in custody facing first-degree murder charges as adults in the June killing of a congressional intern. U.S. Attorney for D.C. Janine Pirro said a third suspect, an 18-year-old, is still at large. Pirro held a press conference with D.C. Metropolitan Chief of Police Pamela Smith and Mayor Muriel Bowser.
Everything we do, the D.C. Council is looking to change to benefit the criminal. To specifically answer your question, we're going to need Congress to change the law. And I believe that if there's any case that calls for it, it is this case that makes it clear that these young punks who are on the street with guns, shooting at each other, killing innocent people, they need to be brought into my system and not in the family court system for rehabilitation, because they've been in that system more than once. And I don't think they've been rehabilitated.
Jalen Lucas and Kelvin Thomas Jr. have prior violent juvenile records in the family court. Pirro said there were two other victims of the shooting who survived. Detectives say they believe the shooting was a result of an ongoing neighborhood dispute. Eric Tarpinium Jackham was a rising senior at the University of Massachusetts Amherst, just 21 years old, interning for Kansas Congressman Ron Estes. Pirro said she is advocating for jurisdiction over juveniles who they can be prosecuted in the criminal court to prevent murders like Jackham's.